Thank you for checking out crypto.chartguys.com, the source for technical analysis in the cryptocurrency world. We are proud to announce our own crypto alert system designed to give you the most critical technical trading information possible no matter where you are. Keep your eyes on the market with mobile or email alerts for MACD crosses, RSI levels, and even inside bar alerts for dozens of coins across multiple exchanges. New features and proprietary ChartGuys indicators are already in development. Our alert system is very easy to customize and utilize, so don't hesitate to sign up for the most effective crypto trading tool on the market at crypto.chartguys.com. Hello everyone, hope you're doing well this fine weekend. Going to be heading over to ChartGuys Jason's wedding with ChartGuys James in just a few hours. Nice to finally meet the crew for the first time in years. And before we get into the technical analysis of the big three, going to keep it fairly short as, again, I don't have my monitors and all of that. But one thing I want to touch on in terms of doing good things is a thought I had last night, and it's something I try and do every so often. And it's with regards to talking to managers and asking to see the managers and calling numbers, not to complain because that's what always happens and we don't do that here, but calling to praise an employee or things like that. How often do you see a number on the back of a truck that says, "How's my driving?" and call it and say, "This driver is doing a great job. He's being really cautious. And if all truck drivers were like him on the highway, it would be a safer place." So an example of this, I had just natural gas being delivered to the house to fill up a propane tank or whatever. And the guy was really nice and friendly and, you know, was really interested in the chickens and the goats and all the animals. So we had a nice conversation, ended up giving him a bunch of free eggs. And at the end of it, I said, you know, "How can I leave you a review?" And he gave me a number and went on his way. So I called that number and I said, you know, "This guy is a great employee, and as long as he is being employed by you, I will remain a customer." And that literally took 3 minutes out of my day. 6 months later, the guy comes back and he says, "I cannot thank you enough for that call. Nobody ever does that, and it made a big difference." And I could see the sincerity in his voice and in his face. So literally 3 minutes of my time in a insignificant way or significant to him, it changed his life. Literally, all I had to do was, you know, say those words. So if you say, "Can I speak to the manager?" and praise an employee, that will make a difference. Again, because it's so rare, it stands out significantly. So if even just 10% of you that watch this video do that, that will make a difference. So Bitcoin, we're into indecision right now. So the last video that I did, and didn't do a video yesterday, first time missing in a long time, so sorry about that. But we have the indecision, and we were looking yesterday, or the last video, it said scout high or low. That was the thumbnail. We have our high or low on the daily now, but it's indecision because it's not very convincing at this point. So what we were looking for, when you have a setup where you have the assumption that you're saying, okay, we have seen a big bull move on the daily, we need to consolidate and form a higher low, and then the time frames start to get close to oversold. So looking at Bitcoin 4 hour, the RSI got down to the low 30s. Looking at the hourly, back down at the low, that bounce right on 30 yet again. So if the hourly and the 4 hour RSI are approaching oversold and we're looking for the daily to form that higher low, we know that the odds of that daily higher low coming are very likely in the near term future. So that's what we saw. We saw a solid bounce, and the 4 hour time frame gave us a nice, first of course, it was the hourly time frame giving us a higher low and a higher high. And then on the 4 hour time frame, we got that higher low and higher high as well. But Bitcoin lost that momentum last night. And if you saw last night on Bitfinex, there was definitely a flush, like a flash crash, and that's either someone making a terrible decision with market order sell or someone intentionally triggering stop losses. And let's just look at that real quick so you see what I'm talking about. So US or Bitcoin on Bitfinex, and here let's just look on the 5 minute time frame so we can see that candlestick. And there it is back last night. So the amount of volume on this one candlestick was in the thousands. That is very significant. And then we see, you know, a drop from 10,277, and the bottom of the candlestick is $770 lower. So that, again, it's either a mistake. No one is trying to sell that amount unless, you know, someone gave them a fake news article and they panicked or something like that. That, in my opinion, is just triggering stop losses and then seeing enough of a recovery from that. You know, we're obviously not seeing a ton of bullish action, but enough of a recovery after that, right afterwards, that we're saying, okay, it's not, you know, big news that the market's dumping on. That's an individual isolated event. And you didn't see that happen on Bitcoin on Coinbase. And just looking at that same time frame, we did pull back significantly in correlation, but it was nowhere near the same kind of order. So that was a specific event and just something to be keeping an eye on. But it did take the momentum away from the bulls all last night, and that's why we're in this indecision period right now, because the 4-hour time frame went from higher lows to and higher highs on this recovery and then lost that higher low. This higher low being lost right here is now why we're seeing indecision. So the low of the pullback at this point is the key support level, and we're grinding along it right now, and that's down at 9,576. If that level does break, then we're going to be looking down at probably waiting for RSI levels on the 4-hour and the hourly time frame to get right at 30 again before we see the bulls try and show up again. So here on the 4-hour, the high of the bounce is resistance, 10,494. That's the range that we're watching, the low of the dump and the high of the 4-hour bounce. And the daily time frame gave us that bullish reversal candlestick, but we have no follow through. And here we are down at the low of that candlestick, close to seeing further pullback. Again, the bulls would love to establish a stronger bounce from this level, but if they don't, it's not game over. We're in a period or a space right now where there's that lack of support because of the big 4-day bull move. And again, the must-hold level for me is all the way down at 7,851. That's not breaking anytime soon, in my opinion. It could break, in 5 days or so. And I guess that's all depending on perspective in terms of what you mean with soon. But as a day trader, 5 days is not soon for me. So that's where we're looking. If we break 9,576, we're going to look to 9,000 psychological. And we're seeing a little bit of a difference where there's a little bit more strength in Litecoin and Ethereum relative to where Bitcoin stands on this 4-hour time frame. And in my opinion, that could have to do with the fact that Bitcoin had that one individual order trigger all those stop losses, take a lot of momentum out of Bitcoin, and we didn't see that correlate to Litecoin and Ethereum, again, because it was a little individual event and probably one person or maybe just a few people in coordination trying to take out those levels. So by the end of today, we will likely see either a break of support, or we'll make our way back up into the low 10,000 range and stay within this pattern. And we're forming a 4-hour inside bar right now, so we'll be keeping an eye on that as well. And of course, the alert, having the alert set for RSI being oversold. And obviously, we added the new alerts with the volume, and those alerts have been going great. But don't forget the regular old RSI alert, because these time frames have not been getting very oversold. So the RSI last night down at the bottom, or I guess yesterday, would trigger when we get under 30, but this is not enough to trigger any of the oversold climaxes or any other alerts. So definitely worth watching while we're in more of a bullish standpoint. Just looking at the hourly chart over the past couple weeks, we haven't dipped down in more than 30 since the bottom way back when. So that bottom of the dump back in early February. Since then, look at the RSI on the hourly time frame. We've just barely dipped below 30 a few times, but that's been the bounce point every time. So that we haven't gotten an hourly oversold climax alert this entire time, but we have gotten RSI oversold alerts going out. So that's where we stand in the short term. Key support is being tested right now. Let's look at Litecoin. So Litecoin is a different setup. Here's the daily chart, the higher low. You can see we're not close to breaking this higher low just yet. Still not getting the kind of significant convincing follow through that the bulls would be looking for, but that's a key level at 182.52, or excuse me, 182.55. So here's the 4-hour chart, and here's how it looks a little bit different. We did break the higher low here as well, but we're not down near the low. So we are still watching to see, can the bulls save this and turn around, and to do so in any convincing way, they have to break 218.65. So 218.65 is key resistance, and I'm looking at a couple support levels, 196.43, the current low of this consolidation, and then the low down at 182.55. So even though we're in a downtrend, there are certainly very nice trading opportunities here. Where we pulled back, we had 6 red candlesticks in a row on the 4-hour time frame. Bullish reversal hammer, finally got some confirmation and follow through. But from the low here, 182, let's just round it, 183 to 216. That is a $33 move, and that is about a 15% move. So obviously, if you capture 5% of that, if you capture a third of that move, that's significant gains, and that's the kind of thing that you can just patiently wait for if you are a bull. Wait for the setup and get yourself in a trade to capture a few percentages while we wait for more clarity, because again, we are in a period of indecision right now where we lost the 4-hour higher low pattern, but we haven't broken the low of the pullback yet at this point. So the key range for Litecoin at this point, 182.55 support, along with 196.43. So let's just call it 196.43 to 218.65 is the important range on the 4-hour time frame for today. Hourly chart, we can see we're bouncing a little bit, trying to turn things around. Not a whole lot of action the last 6 hours or so. We'll see if we can get a bull MAC decross. But again, it's a little bit indecision. I'd be a lot more bullish and just watching for this bounce to continue if the 4-hour higher lows held. It's the 4-hour higher low being lost that gives us this indecision feel where we stand right now. So checking in on Ethereum, again, very similar to Litecoin in the sense that we're not back down to the low of the pullback on the daily chart just yet. Remember, Ethereum was much closer to breaking this must-hold level on the daily, and look at it right here, 780, and we bounced off of 786. That is a must-hold level for these bulls. That will be a red flag. And again, I'm watching for the potential. I haven't been able to watch closely the past day or so, but watching for the potential that Ethereum is leading this market a little bit, and in certain instances. And if we break this daily higher low, that will be a red flag for me on the entire sector in the short term of the big three for breaking that level. So even if I'm bullish Bitcoin and trading Litecoin, I don't want to see Ethereum break 780 because that will definitely add a little bit of bearish sentiment for the overall space. So here on the daily, we're forming an inside bar right now, ways to go before it closes. Checking the 4-hour chart, again, we lost the higher low. That's why we have indecision, but we're not seeing the significance of the pullback. And we actually never broke to a higher high here on the 4-hour. So that's another difference with Ethereum. Both Bitcoin and Litecoin got a 4-hour higher low and higher high, and Ethereum did not. It was a lower high and now a lower low. So a weaker bounce on Ethereum. Inside bar is forming on the 4-hour time frame, and we actually already had one. So that's a nice multiple inside bar 4-hour setup. Again, the alert system setting for 4-hour inside bar break will let us know when that does break. So keeping an eye on Ethereum on the shorter term time frames, trying to bounce. And if we break 780 on Ethereum, the odds of Bitcoin heading back down towards the 8,000, 7,500 level will increase, in my opinion, which would mean the odds of Litecoin heading back down to the 180s would increase as well. So not saying Ethereum is driving the market, but seeing some instances where it's giving me enough to say, okay, keep an eye on it because there is potential that it is having a significant impact on these other names as well. So that's where we stand on the big three. Again, not doing a whole lot of trading this weekend. And it's the kind of thing where I want to go over a trade that I made on Ethereum where actually it was Litecoin. I got stopped out. And I believe that was the last video that I did where I was in that half position. So in a half position, looking for the bulls to show up for the daily higher low to form. And we had our low, our high, higher low. Let me zoom in here. So low, high, higher low, lower high, this tightening equilibrium pattern. And then this break here is where I stopped out. And I put my stop right here at 192.50. I moved it up a little bit once I saw a little bit of weakness in Bitcoin. And that stopped me out with a small loss. And we pulled back. And then overnight, I was busy packing and doing things and having a life. So I missed this bull move. And this was the bull move that I was looking for with that initial entry. And, you know, I could sit here and say, the stop loss triggered me out. And if I didn't use a stop loss, I would have stayed in the trade and made a really nice gain. But I will never say that because I know what happens when I don't use stop losses because I did it for years and it really held me back as a trader. So I'm fine that I got stopped out. I would have gotten a significant portion of this bounce had I been actively at my computer. But again, life was there. So I'm not going to FOMO on this move at all. I'm going to say, all right, missed that trade, but it's going to reinforce my technical analysis in the sense that I was looking for the daily higher low. That builds my confidence, saying, all right, I was on the right track. I just missed it by a little bit of details, was stopped out. I'm going to go back and look at some adjustments that I could potentially make. And one of our members, Atan, I don't even know how to say it, A-T-A-N, Atan, did a good job of pointing out how there's a pattern where we do see a little bit of an extra bear push before the bounce begins, almost to take out some support levels, and then the bounce gets going. And that's happened a couple times on this downtrend. So again, just a little lesson, and it stopped me out for a small loss, and I missed a solid gain, but no FOMO here, and I always know that there's going to be another trade opportunity, and when we continue to see this kind of volatility, you know, 100% gain in 2 weeks or 10% gain in half a day, that tells us that there's going to be opportunity for a long time in this space. So I'm not worried about missing individual trades, and again, don't let trading run your life. Work with your life and work with trading around your life. So that's where we stand. I appreciate you tuning in, and I'll check in again tomorrow. Not going to be back to the normal home base till Tuesday, but we'll get back in the flow and the regular routine of things. Appreciate you watching. Remember to do good things. Again, I would love to hear comments. Tell me how you are, changing somebody's day. Someone in the service industry, someone taking your order at the coffee shop. Give positive feedback to them if they deserve it. Appreciate you watching. See you soon.